Yes guys, welcome back to my channel. Now we're only a few days away from the best day in September when all of the best teams go at each other. When I say all of the best teams, I mean two, and specifically Geelong versus Brisbane. Now today we are going to go through the three key factors that I think Geelong are going to need to do if they want to win another premiership, where apparently everyone wants to see. No, but seriously, Geelong have played incredible football all year, and they're probably going to play incredible football on Saturday, and they've got a very, very good chance of winning this game of football, like we saw them do just a couple of weeks ago against the very same team. So the first key that I want to speak about today is the ability for Geelong to lock the ball in their front half. And we've seen them be able to do this time and time and time again. And if they can do it again, this is where they're at their best. When they can get turnovers, when they can get front half turnovers specifically, this is when they just annihilate teams left, right, and centre. So we'll see what Brisbane want to do, and this is move the ball quickly, take the ball on through the middle of the ground. Brisbane do love this handball receive in the top of the defensive 50, and they love to go from here through the middle of the ground. But what Geelong have done really well is actually set up for this exact thing. So instead of having a zone set up here, they've gone one-on-one through the middle of the ground and then stacked this middle of the ground, because we're about to see Tyson Stengel come into screen here. So as soon as Dane Zorko gets his football, he looks up and he realises that he can't go through the middle of the ground, and he can't run around Shannon Neal and go through the middle of the ground, because they have so much defensive cover for this exact situation, for this exact reason. So as soon as we let this play out, this is the defensive system for the Cats. This is how they lock the ball inside their forward 50, and this is what I mean about them just scoring at will from forward half turnovers. This is Geelong at their best. Again, we're going to see a very similar situation here when Lockie Neal gets the football. He wants to give this forward handball to Will Ashcroft, and that's exactly what he does. But Geelong's ability and Geelong's willingness to run and chase and create these forward half turnovers, this is the key. Because if Brisbane can get this ball out the back, that is when Brisbane are at their best. That is when Brisbane are off and running, and that is when Brisbane's forwards are so dangerous. But if Geelong can do what they did a couple of weeks ago, and that is force these forward half turnovers, this is defensive just will, this is defensive desire. Again, a perfect example. One of Brisbane's biggest strengths is their ability to be able to chain out of stoppage, chain out of contest. So we see Dunkley trying to get to a position where he can chain out of this stoppage, but Geelong's ability to run and chase and pressure forces Fletcher to just have to put this on the boot. And again, this is Geelong's ability to create turnovers in their forward half, in their front half of the ground. But the danger for the opposition, for Brisbane on Saturday, is when they create these turnovers in Geelong, they just run. They are so far out the back. Their forwards and their midfielders, and their attacking midfielders specifically, like Dempsey, are so trusting in their defenders being able to create these turnovers that is why Dempsey gets over the back so often. That is why Jeremy Cameron is standing here 15 metres in front of his opponent. This is the reason, because they are so trusting. They have so much faith in their defence to create these forward half turnovers that they just run forward straight away. And not all of their turnovers come from just all out pressure. A lot of it is just their structure and their system. So their ability to number off and take away all of the options here for the Brisbane Lions. So we know how Brisbane love to take these uncontested marks, love to shift the defence. Geelong's ability to cut all of these options off just by playing very good structurally, very good system-based defence, and force Josh Dunkley here to just go long and high and essentially give a hospital pass to Jarrod Berry in this situation, which just allows Tom Stewart to come and take a really easy intercept mark or a free kick. But again, all of these forward half turnovers are what spurts, what creates the opportunity for Geelong to move the ball forward with genuine will. So as soon as they get this intercept and this turnover, look at all of the Brisbane Lions players who are over on the other side of the field looking for options. But the Geelong defensive structure, so quick to realise that when they get a turnover, they run towards the open space. So we see all of the Geelong midfielders, all of the Geelong forwards, all of the Geelong defenders in front of their man, finding this open space, which is how we get to Blitzarf standing by himself. So the first key for Geelong, stop the ball movement, get these forward half turnovers. Don't allow Brisbane to take the game on from their defensive half. Play this collapsing pressure. Play a really good structurally sound system defense that doesn't allow Brisbane to get an overlap handball, that doesn't allow Brisbane to take 500 uncontested marks inside their defensive half and shift your zone and shift your zone and shift your zone and find a hole. If Geelong can create these front half turnovers like they did the last time they played Brisbane just a couple of weeks ago, that is going to be the number one key to them winning this flag. Now, the second key is about creating 1v1s. this Geelong forward half is stacked with talent. And if they can create one-on-one matchups and not allow Harris Andrews to come across as a third man in defence in the air, and not allow Brandon Starcevic at ground level to create pressure, and not allow the Brisbane Lions midfielders to push back and create out numbers inside the Geelong forward 50, that is when they're going to be able to expose Brisbane. Because when Geelong are able to get genuine one-on-ones inside their forward 50 ahead of the football, we've seen Shannon Neal come out of his shell in the last probably 2 months and be able to take marks like this and win one-on-one contests like this. But it's not just Shannon Neal. Every time they went inside forward 50 against Hawthorn in one-on-one situations, Jeremy Cameron able to out-leap and start taking contested marks. And these are two of the best defenders in the league. This is an All-Australian in Josh Battle. This is a former All-Australian fullback in Tom Barras. And again, it's not just these two big boys that are going to beat you in the air. It's players like Dangerfield. And we just saw him just annihilate James Sicily for a lot of this game after the first quarter. And on the lead, he's unstoppable. Brandon Starcevic is not going to be able to keep up with a Patrick Dangerfield. We saw what Jamie Elliott did on the lead to Brandon Starcevic when he had his opportunities. It wasn't looking pretty for Brandon Starcevic, who I think is actually one of the best medium-sized to small defenders in the league. But if you're coming up against a talented side like Geelong, as talented as they are in the forward half, this is what is going to happen. But it's not just aerially they're going to beat you one-on-one. They're going to beat you at ground level as well. Look at this ability from Paddy Dangerfield. And I know there's going to be a lot of focus here on Dangerfield, but these are the sort of players that you're going to have to deal with. His ability to win that one-on-one and then create this sort of separation. So as soon as this ball does come to ground, look who is the first on it to win this contest. Dangerfield, who's created 10 metres of separation from that initial contest. And again, if he doesn't run into his teammate there, he's probably running through to an open goal. But again, the ability for Geelong to win these contests in one-on-one situations on the ground, they're just going to get so many opportunities to kick goals. Just this forward half is just completely stacked with talent. Look at Jeremy Cameron here, just be able to lead up and run and jump at this football. Look at the amount of separation he can create just on this 10 to 15 metre lead, straight through the middle of the ground. This, again, is against an All-Australian this year in Josh Battle, and Jeremy Cameron's just beaten him cold. And then look at the stoppage work here of Sean Manor. So all we're talking about here is the talent of their 1v1 players, the ability for them to just kick goals in one-on-one situations, which they're going to be able to get a lot of if they can get a lot of these forward half turnovers like we spoke about in key number 1. So look at Sean Manor here. His body position to just push Dylan Moore under this contest and could just create this amount of separation. Because as soon as he creates that amount of separation, that instantly turns into 5-6 metres. And then just the skill and the poise and the execution to go bang like that, you're just not going to be able to stop that. So if Brisbane can't slow down the Geelong ball movement and they create turnovers inside of their forward half, and they get genuine one-on-one opportunities inside of their forward half with players like Stengel and Close and Myers and Manor and Jezza and Deja and Shannon Neal and Ollie. If they can get these players in one-on-one situations, I don't care how good your defence is, I don't care how good your defensive structure is or your defensive system, if you are caught in one-on-one situations with these players, they will kick goals on you, they will expose you, they will just annihilate this game. This is what we see a lot of the time in Geelong's games when they blow out teams. It's because their forward half is so potent, so good, that if they create these turnovers and they get one-on-ones, you're just not going to stop them. That's the second key. Dominate 1v1s. Allow your star players inside of your forward half to get one-on-one opportunities, because if they do, they're just going to kick goals. And now the third and final key that we're going to speak about today is controlling the tempo. So what Geelong do really well is understanding what sort of game they have to play to beat a specific opponent. So against Brisbane, we know that Geelong want to play quick because they want to get these one-on-one opportunities. We've seen them play slow. We've seen them adapt to different defensive systems, different defensive structures. But there was a clear directive against Brisbane. Let's get the ball moving quick when we can. Let's switch the ball. Let's control the tempo. Let's make sure that every time the ball is in motion, it is in motion in our favour. And that means when when we have the ball, we want to play a quick pace. We want to play a frantic pace. And when they have the football, we want to instantly be able to slow the game down and put the game in slow motion and force Brisbane to kick long up the line and take slow options and not allow them to play this frantic rebound style of football. We want to play frantic rebound. We don't want to allow them to play frantic rebound. And that is a real skill, a real talent to be able to control the tempo when you have it. So look at this ability. So we've just had about 5 minutes of slow play where defensively it was just a grind. Obviously I can't show you the 5 minutes because I just can't. But you're just gonna have to take my word for it. It's 5 minutes of just slow grinding football, and as soon as Geelong got their hands on it, bang! We want to switch the football. We want to play tempo. We want to go quick. We want to put our players in positions where they can take the game on. But we don't want to allow the opposition to do the same. So O'Connor plays on, and then O'Sullivan plays on. And these are the options that control the tempo. So in both of those situations, deep in your defensive 50, and on a free kick on the boundary of your defensive 50, you can control the tempo. You get to decide if you want to play the slow, long up the line game, or you get to decide, like Geelong did here, if you want to attack. If you want to put all of the Brisbane Lions defenders on the back foot where they're scrambling for their defensive positions, where all of the Brisbane Lions defenders here are scrambling to get back into their defensive 50 and into their defensive structure. And this is when you just have so many options, so many opportunities for your forwards in one-on-one situations, which is, as we speak about, so important to Geelong, so vital, and where Geelong are at their most dangerous. And this is obviously such a clear direction, such a clear desire from the coaching staff that they want to go quick. So as soon as Max Holmes gets his turnover, you're forced to play quick because the ball is in live play. You've got pressure coming at you. But as soon as Manor hits this kick to Ollie Dempsey, this is when Geelong can slow the football down. This is where they control the tempo. But again, against Brisbane, and especially out of stoppage, this is when they wanted to play quick. This is when they wanted to get handball receives. This is when they wanted to get overlap. This is when they wanted to put all of the pressure on the Brisbane Lions defence because they didn't think that the Brisbane Lions defence could cover in one-on-one situations. So you open yourself up when you play really high tempo to make mistakes, but you also create so many opportunities for one-on-ones. And there's a clear desire for Geelong to play a high tempo game against Brisbane, because even in this situation, Ollie Dempsey has no idea what's in his forward line right now. Absolutely no idea. He hasn't looked around, he's got no idea what's going on, but he's willing to give this handball because this is the tempo that Geelong want to take, and this is the tempo that Geelong want to play, and it forces Manor to have to do a three sort of move set on Levi Ashcroft just to get around him, and that is the product of playing such a high tempo game, is you're going to be forced into those situations, but the end result is all of the Brisbane Lions defenders are in absolutely no man's land, and that's when you get really good options inside your forward half. Again, straight out of stoppage, Manor says we are going quick, we are wanting to go quick. We're not feedback handballing to a bloke standing flat-footed. We are going to turn and go because I've got the momentum, I've got the speed, I've got the power, I've got the athleticism. I don't know what's behind me, but I'm willing to take these players on. This is the tempo choice. This is the tempo decision that Geelong wanted to play with, especially out of stoppage. And again, straight out of stoppage, this Geelong team just wants to go quick. They just want to put all of the Brisbane Lions midfielders on the back foot. They want this to happen. They want all of the Brisbane Lions midfielders to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 metres behind them. So look at the Geelong midfielders out of this stoppage. Look at the three of them here out of this stoppage versus look at the Brisbane Lions midfielders. That is what they want to do. They want to expose the Brisbane Lions midfielders and their offensive nature, their very attacking nature. And the way to do that is to play high tempo, because if Geelong can get the football out of stoppage and go bang, and force all of these Brisbane Lions midfielders to have to really switch in their brain from offensive to defensive really quickly, that's what's going to open up a lot of the options through the middle of the ground, through the handball receive game. And this is the last key. And they and all of these keys buy into each other. So the first one about forward half turnovers is what feeds one-on-one opportunities for your forwards, or a lot of the times 0-on-1, where your forward is standing in the goal square by himself. That's why we see Ollie Dempsey by himself in the goal square so many times, but they feed into each other. The second key about getting one-on-ones inside your forward half is fed to by both of these, by number 1 and number 3. So number 1 we just spoke about, the turnover game. If you get a lot of forward half turnovers, you're going to get a lot of 1v1s in your forward line. And if you play a high tempo game, especially out of stoppage, and you force the Brisbane Lions midfielders to be on the back foot, to be chasing your butt all day. Again, you're not allowing them to flood back inside their defensive 50. You're not allowing the wingers of the Brisbane Lions to flood back and be +1s inside the defensive 50. So suddenly, Harris Andrews isn't able to come off and go third man up, and all of your forwards do have one-on-one chances inside the forward 50. And again, as we go back to number 2, if Geelong can get one-on-ones inside their forward 50, they're going to kick a lot of goals. No team has been able to stop them when they have one-on-ones inside their forward 50. So all of the keys go into each other, and if Geelong can do all of these things, it's going to be a long day for Brisbane. But if you like these sort of videos, please feel free to stick around and subscribe. Let me know what you think is going to happen in this game, and I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.